Epic soundtracks, super cool and inspirational stories, and insane stunts that I'm positive it'll take me 10 lifetimes to be able to perfect. So, what can possibly be so wrong with that? Why should you stop watching motivational videos? You're watching Imagine Tech Business Edition, a how to guide for entrepreneurship, business, and lifestyle. Today, we're talking about why you should stop watching motivational videos. So, what's wrong with motivational videos? Well, to give you a short answer, nothing really is inherently wrong with motivational videos. The problem is how people choose to focus on them and what their focus is in general. See, they focus on the what or even the why, but not on the how. Let me explain a little bit. When you watch a motivational video, you're listening to advice, right? They tell you stuff like be relentless, be unstoppable. They maybe even tell you the habits of the super successful CEOs. Get up at 4 in the morning, 5 in the morning, don't sleep is for losers, whatever they tell you. And it's great at the moment, right? You listen to this, you feel inspired, and you're like, you know what? From now on, I'm gonna stop living like an idiot. I'm gonna eat kale. I'm gonna, meditate for 2 hours, work out for 20 hours, and study the rest of my life or something. And it feels great, right? And maybe for a few days you're strong in your course, or sometimes not even for a few days, maybe even half a day, you feel pumped, and then the problem happens either the next day, the next week. At some point, you won't feel like doing it, right? And then you might even be conscious about it and be like, okay, well, I'm gonna find more inspiration. This is what I really want. Whatever you say to yourself. I mean, the truth of the matter is, there will probably come a point when you just won't feel like doing it. And no matter what you try, what you say to yourself, what you watch, you just won't. And there's a million books and a million resources that explain to you, why you can't do it or what to do about it. But with all these millions of things, how come you still lose motivation? And so basically we'll begin talking about some of these concepts as to why, right? So I'm gonna give you a little analogy, and right here I'm talking about the difference between short-term versus long-term motivation. See, when you listen to a motivational video, they focus on the short-term motivation. They focus on pumping you up, on getting you ready, right, to act. So in this analogy, you can think of a bonfire. So in a bonfire, you need little twigs, right, kindling, because that way they can light up quickly. But then you need logs, so that as the logs catch fire, the fire can last and be sustainable. And then as you manage to make the logs make the fire even bigger, then all you have to do is maintain it. Throw a log there once in a while. So motivational videos focus on kindling, and basically you trying to accomplish this big task using motivational videos is similar to you trying to keep a bonfire alive with just kindling the whole night. And of course, when we think of the bonfire, obviously that's silly. You obviously need big logs. You need something that'll sustain it. And the reason why we are so keen to watch motivational videos is because we don't have anything really that focuses enough on the long-term motivation. And then you look at guys like Elon Musk, Steve Jobs, Bill Gates, I mean, do you picture them actually listening to motivational videos or even Mark Cuban? And I would probably imagine that you don't picture them listening to motivational videos. And in fact, if you were to listen to what Elon Musk said, one of his quotes, he said, if you need motivation, don't do it, right? If you need to be inspired, don't do it. And when you think about that, right, like, what does he mean by that? How can someone work 100-hour weeks without watching a single motivational video? All of the top people, the guys that are really killing it, they're making billions of dollars. They don't need this type of motivation as much. And the reason obviously is because they focus on long-term motivation. And this is a big topic, which we're gonna explore more in some of the other videos, but for now I want to get you started with this. I want to get you thinking about this kind of stuff and just sharing some of the few little strategies you can use to focus on your long-term motivation versus your short-term motivation. So when we think about long-term motivation, there's a few things that really create this type of motivation. Some of the stuff you're gonna hear you probably heard before, and some of it I hope is gonna be new to you, and I hope it'll be enlightening to you. This has worked, of course, for my life and the lives of those around me that have applied these principles. And obviously, you can, if you have had experience with this, then leave a comment and let us know how it went for you. So I have found there are 3 things that work on your long-term motivation. One of them is data. Yes, I mean like plain raw data. And this is the kind of stuff that most people don't think about. But data, if you think about it, right? For motivation, you need faith. And I'm not talking about, God or religion or anything. I mean, I'm talking about the type of faith that you need, that no matter how things are going, at the end of the day, you're going to be able to pull through. Because if you don't have enough faith, then your brain is going to be focusing on telling you to give up, because your brain is trying to protect you. And there's 2 types of faith you can have. You can have what's called blind faith. And this is what people tend to just focus on, right? That people imagine these things and the type of lifestyle they want, and then they expect themselves to just have that blind faith that they'll make it. But without any real data to back that faith up, it's really hard. Your brain is gonna give up. Your brain is gonna keep telling you to stop doing that, because your brain is always trying to assess the risk of something, and your brain is basically trying to keep you alive. That's all your brain cares about. So when you use data, right, this is when you can have educated faith. I remember when you listen to, like I said, someone like Elon Musk, and they talk about SpaceX and how his rockets, they had a 5% chance of succeeding. Well, at that point, he didn't really need much faith, because he studied enough to know that the odds were gonna be that he was gonna fail. But his goal was to hopefully advance it enough for someone to be able to carry these plans forward later on. And so he didn't really need much faith, because he had enough data to know that basically he was probably gonna lose his money. And he was okay with that because of the type of work he was doing. But it also works on simpler things, right? If you are thinking about a career and let's say you want to become an engineer of some sort, blind faith will be me telling myself, yes, I can become an engineer. Yes, I'm smart enough to become an engineer. But now if I went to do research and I found data, right? I found that it takes people on average, let's say 5 years of, let's say 8 hours a day to become an engineer. Then at that point, I will be able to use that point of data to say, okay, If I work for 8 hours a day, let's say, for 5 years, if I can get myself to do that, then I'm pretty much guaranteed to become an engineer. Under that circumstance, that type of faith will carry me much longer than me just telling myself that I'll make it. Because with blind faith, I'm gonna give up sooner, right? When I'm studying loads of hours and I'm not an engineer yet, my brain's going to be telling me, just give up. You'll never make it. Look, you're not making progress. But if I have that point of data and I know that it'll take me 8 hours a day for 5 years, then I know that it may not look like I'm doing anything. It may not look like I'm progressing, but it's within the bounds of what the data is telling me. And so that's the first point to consider if you want to have more of the long-term faith, right? So that's one of them. The other one is momentum. And I want to talk to you when it comes to momentum about long-term versus short-term vision. Usually when you talk to experts, they tell you to focus on long-term vision, right? To focus on the bigger picture, to think about where you want to be in 5 years, where you want to be in 10 years. But the truth of the matter is, we don't even know what 10 years are going to look like. We don't even know if the same careers are going to exist, especially with how fast technology is moving. There's no way in hell we can know what's going to happen in 10 years. So to have this almost castle in the sky vision of where you want to be in 10 years per se can be unrealistic to your brain. And again, your brain, whenever it doesn't compute something, whenever something doesn't make sense to your brain, it'll urge you to give up. It'll use every trick in the book to manipulate you into giving up. So in my opinion and in my life, what's worked out better actually has been short-term vision. And I know that sounds short-sighted and stupid, but when you ask, like on interviews they've done on top athletes like, you know, Ronaldinho or these guys that are really, really good, oftentimes when they ask them, what led you to become a super rock star or whatever, what led you to get to that level? Did you think you were gonna get to that level? A lot of them say, no, I just really enjoyed doing that activity, right? And so I just really liked doing it, and I did it a lot, and then before I knew it, I got really good. And so I have explored that concept of short-term vision, and I guess in practice it means you basically see where your next steps are gonna be, and then you try those out, and then you just try to do it and see how you feel. And obviously, no matter what path you take, you're not always gonna feel good about it. You're not always gonna wanna do it, and that's where you have to push through. But at the end of the day, if you just focus on that short term, that day to day, just doing those little things to push yourself forward, even if you're not sure 100% where you want to be in the future per se, you will progress. And that progression will build momentum. As you start getting better at things, you're going to want to do them more. It's kind of like a video game. If you start in the beginning, you suck, maybe you have a wooden sword or whatever, and then as you get some upgrades, you kill some bad guys, now you got a new superpower, and now you want to try that new superpower on more bad guys, and then you want to maybe gain another superpower or whatever game you're playing. And so it's kind of that with your skills. As you start becoming proficient at something, you start wanting to do it more because you're finally beginning to understand. So that's my second point, is building momentum and doing it through having a actual short-term vision. And then another point that I want to bring up is your environment. I'm sure you probably heard people talk about how important that environment is and the whole nine. but I want to give you practical knowledge when it comes to the environment. So a little while back, I made a video about having what I like to call a sanctuary. And it was a pretty terrible video. Didn't have any editing or anything. It's really windy. You can't even hear me. In the future, I'm going to be making a remastered version of that. But the concept is basically figuring out what your perfect environment is. It might be, like for me, for example, my perfect environment is somewhere where I can see the stars and I can gaze at them. A place where I can see a lot of lights, maybe. A place where I can see the open sky. It makes me feel really good. And I even combine a type of music with that. That makes me feel really good. And so if I know that that's the environment I like, what I do is I write it down. And then I break down what I like about that environment. In this case, what I like about that environment are some of those things I mentioned. Beautiful landscapes, beautiful nature, open space. To you, it might be different. But if you define this environment and then you break down the different components of it, and then you try to incorporate those in your daily life, even if, let's say you find a place that you really love, but maybe you can't go to it every day. But maybe you can build some of that in your room. You know, if you're like me and you like space, for example, you can actually decorate your room with space things. And I know that sounds cheesy, but the point is, the more that you're in your element, the more that you're in the type of environment that you love, the more naturally inspired you're going to feel. And the more you're going to want to work. Now, all of these concepts I've shared with you, as you start doing them, you'll see some results, but it won't be like all of a sudden you're a baller, right? Getting rid of bad habits, it's tough work. It's not easy. But as you do these things more and more, and as you combine these concepts, and you start more than anything focusing on that educated faith as opposed to the blind faith, you're gonna find that you're not gonna need motivational videos. You're gonna wanna get up and just freaking do it. Just get it done, right? And I'm gonna offer you one final little bonus point here for when you need inspiration and maybe you're just not feeling up to the task. Watch or listen to material that actually inspires you. And I know that sounds really simple, basic advice, but most people actually get this wrong. Let me tell you why. Going back to the motivational videos, maybe I could say something like, well, if I watch a motivational video, I'll feel pumped up. Or whatever I watch, right? If I watch a video of like a multi-million-dollar home mansion or whatever, I'll feel inspired. But the truth is, again, this is all about knowing yourself. For me, for example, if I look at a Lamborghini or a McLaren or these super cool cars, right? I won't really feel that inspired. I don't really care about them that much. Or, you know, if I watch a motivational video and there's people pulling off crazy stunts, I won't feel that inspired by it. You might feel inspired by it. To me, I love again seeing these beautiful places. So maybe seeing a video of Atlantis in, you know, the Bahamas or something, that might inspire me. And it might not even be a motivational video. It might be just someone showing a room in Atlantis. And that's where I'm going with this. Now, if it is a motivational video that does inspire you based on your criteria, based on the internal things that attract you, then that's fine. But I found that more often than not, the type of stuff that motivates me are things that, like I said, maybe they're not even trying to motivate me. When I listen to Bill Gates talk about, you know, the Gates and Melinda Foundation, that is interesting to me. Or like I said, Elon Musk, how he's building this super cool He's trying to eventually build a super cool space colony and go to Mars, and he's working on Neuralink to connect our brains to the internet and work faster. Those things really inspire me. And so what I find out is when I watch something like that, then even if I'm not gonna do those same things, it just pumps me up and makes me want to do it, makes me want to follow my path. And so that's my final tidbit to you. Just observe yourself and see what works for you, see what really inspires you, and just watch that if you ever need just a little kick. And with that, I'm gonna end this video. Now in the future, I will be talking more about building this sanctuary that I talked to you about, and I'm also gonna make another video about specific techniques for finding your long-term motivation. I'm gonna go more into the mechanics of it, but I wanted to give you a little introduction. Now, as far as this channel goes, it'll focus on, like I said, entrepreneurship, how to build a business and lifestyle, but I'm not gonna focus so much on the what to do, because I feel there's a lot of material about that. I'm gonna focus more on the how, step by step, specific things you can do to actually get you there. Anyway, this has been Jazzy with Imagine Tech Business Edition, and you have a great day. Check out our other videos as they come out. Peace.